Welcome back, everybody, to the Free FUT Tiers podcast, or as it is this week, the 2 FUT Tiers podcast. Brad is not feeling very well again, so he is absent from the podcast this week. So it's just myself and Luke this week. Luke, how are you doing?
Mr. No Days Off himself. We are back again. I'm happy to be back. You know, looking forward to a good week of FIFA. For some reason, I'm surprisingly pumped up. It's really weird. I don't know what's happening.
Have the energy, you know, enthusiasm.
Got energy.
Yeah, you know.
I mean, I would start slapping my table, but it would sound really bad on the podcast, like just banging on a table.
Well, knocking on wood quickly, you definitely have been the healthiest out of the three of us, anyway.
I've got a sore throat at the moment. I might sound slightly off.
But we are in a brand new promo on FIFA 22. So the new concept EA have come up with, FUT Captains. So captains of certain football clubs have managed to get themselves some nice looking cards, and not only club captains. We also have some former captains. So the heroes have finally got some boosted cards, which is nice to see. So we have 5 hero cards that have been boosted up. They are Gomez, Lundberg, Dempsey, Di Natale, and Melito. Now, first one I want to discuss with you, Luke, is Dempsey.
Yes.
He looks like a very good card, but I think he should have been in the Premier League, personally, rather than MLS.
That is a very interesting take. I think I agree. It's when you think about it, at the end of the day, you mainly associate the man with playing for Fulham, playing for Tottenham. Those are the 2 main clubs that I associate Dempsey with. Maybe I'm narrow-minded, but also turns out Mers is in that sense. So it would have been interesting. They have shown they're willing to swap leagues with it. Melito being, I nearly said obviously, I held myself, but Melito being now La Liga, they've shown they're going to do it. I would assume for a team 2, I've not seen leaks. Unlike last year where I had seen that this promo was coming out, I've not seen leaks yet, but I'd assume Ginola would go Premier League based off either Newcastle or Tottenham if they do that for team 2. So why have they not done that for Dempsey?
Yeah, and also it's surprising that how much he's worth as well, considering that he is an MLS card. 265k. That is a little bit surprising, I guess, because he can only get a link to Americans, and I guess to be fair, Weston McKennie did come out recently, so I guess that probably helps his value a little bit, but there's not a great deal of tradable MLS cards. Now, if you got like MLS cards already in your club, I guess that works for people. If like they got Pato, for instance,
the league objective level 15 Ruan. There's another one,
and all the others.
Many others, even going down to the minor details like Serginho Dest's moments cards. If you want to take that for a spin these days, that there are some okay American cards that won't get a strong link to him. They'll only get a weak link, but it looks the fact they've upgraded him so heavily defensively is what catches my eye. I don't know about you, whether you noticed this. Compared to his other card, I think it's gone up 30 plus stats, 35 from his base 85.
34.
30.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a massive upgrade.
That's huge.
So he goes from being a one-trick cam it's a very one-trick cam. He can shoot from range, that's what you get on the 85. To a very well-rounded. I loved Clint Dempsey, not just because I'm a Tottenham fan. His card was one of the favourite cards I've ever used on FIFA. I will not tell a lie. I'm going to say FOF card, because there was Festival of FUT back in, I think, FIFA 18. It was during international tournament. That card, I packed it, and the shooting on that card was next level. It was either FIFA 18 or it was FIFA 16, and I could not tell you which, but it was a rocket. It could not be stopped. So it takes me back to them days.
Well, he does have a heavy punch on this one with 91 shooting, to be fair. So,
I'm going to quickly look that card up now, actually. Hang on, let me see if I can find this Clint Dempsey card that I remember. I think it might not have even been his FOF card, honestly. I think it was his Team of the Season in FIFA 16. He does have a 92 rated FIFA 18 card, but I think the one I remember is the... He had a Movember card, of course he did. That dreadful promo. But it was his Team of the Season card in FIFA 16 that just... It was a rocket. 81 pace, 95 shooting, 94 dribbling. It could dribble, it could shoot, it could do whatever you wanted it to. And this is in the days when Obafemi Martins, I think, was still at the Seattle Sounders for a strong link. So that has a front too. Imagine.
Wow, just looking at all his cards, to be fair, they all have decent shooting. Like even like an 84 rated Team of the Week with 90 shooting. That's not bad at all, realistically, for an 84 rated card.
Those are the days when you could just get absolutely nutty cards for Christ knows how cheap. The ones I wish I had, I regret not doing this, taking a very big tangent already. But I loved the concept of MLS All-Stars in FIFA 15. Some of the cards in that, there was Team of the Season Martins, there was Gerrard, I think Lampard, Dempsey, who was the other striker? There was like a really niche striker who was American. I can't remember him, but he, down to the fullbacks being 95 plus pace each, and that was a pace game. That's what FIFA 15, as much as it's looked back on fondly even by myself, it was a pace game. That's why Dumbury, Rabarbo, Javinho was so good. It was near post OP pace.
Have you managed to pack? How many of these have you packed so far since the promos began?
Just the one for me, and that was Quagliarella earlier today. Looks like a very nice card, actually. It's going to be hated in this promo because it's the Troll Di Natale, but it does look like a very well-rounded card.
It is. I packed him in my FUT Champs rewards, so I was going to be trying him out. I did try him out for a couple of games before Defoe came out, which is a topical thing for the SBCs. That's the first end of an era, I think it is, so
this
far this
FIFA.
year.
Believe so. They should have really done for one for Aguero, I think. But
100%.
That was 100% deserved. But Defoe, I like Jermaine Defoe. Obviously, as a Spurs fan, Jermaine Defoe's great. He was there during our last time we won silverware, I believe. He might have, actually, was he? Did he leave? Was that during his Pompey days? I'm gonna have to check that. I'm doubting myself a lot. But we do love Jermaine Defoe. So I'm absolutely doing that. For an 85 rated squad, based off some of the stats I've seen on that card, is it 97 agility and balance I've seen on that card?
He's the shooting, pace and dribbling. Even his physical actually is quite high on that card. Only thing I maybe wanted a little, feels quite poor in game at the moment from using that card, is his passing feels a bit off, even though on the passing stats it isn't actually that bad when you dive into it. It's got 80 on the face, but I don't know what it is about his passing. It just seems a little bit off. He's not really chipping in much with the assists, but you are correct. 97 agility and balance on his card. 98 composure as well.
I think it's an interesting stat. Just I'm fairly sure Jermaine Defoe's the only player to have 2 end of an era cards. Because he had that one with Crouch, didn't he?
I'm trying to think right now. So he had one, where it was Crouch and Defoe.
And then this one.
I believe, I'm trying to think. I want to say David Villa's had more than one.
Are those flashbacks or are they end
This
of
is
eras?
the problem, isn't it? Trying to you can't go in generations and filter out a card type, so it's a bit hard to know for sure.
It might be a premium
sure.
SBC. I'm looking at Defoe now. It might be the premium SBC. So, having gone to verify my claim on that Defoe, turns out Fernando Torres also, he has that unique quality as well. He's also had 2 premium SBC / end of era cards. So, unique company to be in. Jermaine Defoe and Fernando Torres.
Pretty good. I mean, two good strikers in their prime, when they were in their prime, shall we say.
One of them was different levels, let's be honest, in their prime, Fernando Torres. There's a reason he's got an icon card. Defoe could maybe angle for a hero card, maybe. But Robbie Keane's already filling that void for a Tottenham striker in that sort of place, so maybe you could have words.
Don't worry, there'll be like 100 hero cards in probably like 3 or 4 years' time.
No, have you seen how long it's taken them to get to 100 now? Have you seen how long it's taken them to get to 100 in terms of icons? What, 4 years?
Yeah.
And they already had like a database of like 50 to 60 to start with, you know? There's only about 10, 15 heroes. So it's going to take them a lot longer.
I don't think it will, because I think the classification, I guess, for the heroes isn't quite necessarily as high as what an icon card would be considered, I guess.
Yeah, but then you'd start lumping in a bunch of undesirable players to just pad numbers. I don't think EA, as much as EA love to just do stuff like that, I don't think they'd go that hard. Bear in mind, this means they'd have to go, 15, 20 a year to get to 100? Anytime soon?
Suppose so. That's
the levels.
The numbers each year. Yeah.
Because icons, they've introduced, 6, 7, 8 maybe a year to get to the 100. This is majorly double digits. So I think we're quite a way away from 100 heroes, but God, I'm not looking forward to that. At least we'll have, different people to hate other than just El Jabba, Collar, and a few others. At least we'll have some different people to hate for that.
But to be fair, with 100 heroes, it has the opportunity to make some of these offshoot leagues, I guess, a bit more desirable. Because the problem is with that Al Jabba situation early on, although the card looked relatively good at that in the first month or so of the game, it was there's not really a lot to link him to. EA don't really give out special cards to the Saudi League and stuff, whereas they definitely do give out to the Championship. It seems like EA
disagree.
only given out special cards mainly to 9 leagues, I would say, and then maybe the odd one thrown in every now and again.
The thing though I'd say with the Saudi League is Talisca was very much a starting player. He always is. So actually Al Jabba, the start of the game, did have the players. They just didn't build on that too much. Outside of informed Talisca, they hardly built on it. But that's not fully their fault. People, if they released a bunch of Saudi players into promos, you'd hear complaints. Because it's not meta enough, or if they're meta players, they're going, their league's crap, game's dead. It goes back to the point where you say, can EA technically win?
Yeah,
technically.
If they expanded the promos to not just 11-ish or 11 to 15 players or so, roughly what it typically is for a team of promo players, I think they could. Because if you say, let's do 18 players per promo team, you could definitely chuck in a Saudi league. You could definitely chuck in on top of maybe one from the Portuguese league, Eredivisie, MLS, and the Championship, which is the 4 non-top 5 leagues, or the traditional top 5 leagues that they've been shown some love this year. But beyond that, it's nothing else really gets seen.
My counterpoint, not to be argumentative, I'm just trying to have a general debate here, is you'd say at that point some people might complain are oversaturated by special cards. If you make 18 cards a promo, you then get more oversaturated. It's more cards. Some people will find a way to disagree.
Know, but then, like you said, EA can never seem to win, I guess.
Never truly.
People say too much content, and then they say not enough content. It's What is the right amount of content, people? Like,
because they can't go too hard too early, but they can't lay off for a bit. Here's a genuine question. Do you think that FOF / Summer Heat, whatever you want to call it, that happens towards the end of the year, goes too hard?
what?
Because
Like,
most people would be happy and say, oh, that's the best time in FIFA. I loved the 85 times 10s. I loved stuff like that. But would you not say that set people up with all that hype to then not much content at the start of FIFA? People went from the best content they've ever seen to general start of FIFA situation. Not that they've had the rug pulled out from under them, but do you think it ended too well that then expectations were too high?
I would say no. I think what a lot of people complain about is going from 99 rated quality players to the sort of like gold commons and stuff, and going, oh, this guy doesn't pass very well. Oh, this guy doesn't shoot very well. Oh, well, no surprise. You use somebody who's nearly 20 ratings lower than probably what you were having beforehand, like at the end of FIFA 22. But the main reason for the massive, I wouldn't say there's too much content, because it was just one SBC, but it's the fact that that SBC is repeatable, and you could just you didn't even have to buy anything. You just recycled half of that pack into another one, and the other half went into like the icon SBCs or something. I think it's all to build up everyone's positivity and get them speaking positively and thinking positively about FIFA, so that there any stragglers who have not pre-ordered a game or still sitting on the fence about the game are encouraged to want to go out and buy the next installment. And I think any company out there probably does the same thing, but it's all about like how EA and FIFA is in a different level of limelight to other games, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, people will talk about, say, Fortnite or something like that, but I think because of the stigma that is around EA, people talk about it a little bit more and put a bit more spotlight on it than maybe another game would get towards the end of its cycle before another game gets released. Like, I don't normally ever see anything about like Madden, for instance, before the next installment of Madden's coming out, or F1 or WWE or something like that. That's not really a game I play, but I never see anyone talking about it before the next installment comes out, whereas everyone's talking about FIFA before FIFA comes out. Like, oh, am I going to get FIFA 23? Like, people are going to be starting talking about it as soon as Team of Season's done. Like, that's what you're going to be seeing. That is the number one topic, I guess, is like, oh, what's FIFA 23 going to be like? It's all turns to FIFA 23 rather than FIFA 22. So I don't think expectations are set higher because of, like, say, FIFA 21 into FIFA 22. I don't know. That's this me just waffling on a little bit now in getting into the psychology of it, I guess.
Not too far. I helped set you up for that massive waffle there. But what I do like about this promo, to get back onto the promo, is that it's given a lot of opportunities for players that you wouldn't normally see in promos. So gives them much boosted cards. You got some regulars in there, so Marco Reus, Ben Yedder. But you also get to see someone like Mark Noble. You get to see someone like Mooney Ain, Dubois, Mings, Quagliarella, Hector. These are cards that you would not, on paper, see in any promo. Period. The end. Like, you might see Mings get an SPC for, I think, what, a team of the season or something at some point. Like, not this year, Christ no, but generally. There's still some old favourites in there. There's the French goalkeeper in Lloris. But I think this is probably a decent balance of the best of both worlds.
I've got to just say, for Mark Noble, this is only his 4th special card on FIFA FUT history. He's had actually I think it might have been 5th. He's had informs, but this is his first promo card.
And it's in his retirement year. It's in his retirement year as well.
It's a little bit fitting. Maybe he'll get an end of an era card.
Maybe you'd think if he hadn't got the 89, you'd have hoped. You'd have hoped he'd have got something. But it's a nice change. You do love to see stuff like this, because some other times that would have been Declan Rice. Like same exact links. It's a nice perfect link to the Declan Rice that came out only a promo or 2 back, and the Ryan Fredericks in FUT Birthday. It's a nice strong link triangle now if you look at it that way. Well, not triangle, it's not a centre back, but you get the point. It's some nice links. So I like the potential that this has got in terms of bringing more niche players into promos and giving them really good cards. And even then, you've got Gunter getting his... Gunter's got so many special cards so far this year. Two informs, the Winter Wild card, and then this.
But EA like doing this a little bit, haven't they? We've seen
it. Brings
it.
some
Like
familiarity
Royce, for
back.
instance, has got his Road to the Knockouts card.
Yes.
Well,
and his Silver Stars. Don't forget that card. That's great. Is right.
Yep,
mid.
Silver Stars, right mid card.
Insigne's got his numbers up in his Team of the Year, and his inform. So you got some familiarity, but you got some new faces.
But also the other good thing is that we're getting daily icon SBCs as well, tied into like any icon that has been a captain of their club or nation are getting some SBCs. So far we've had Schweinsteiger, Raul, Brazy today, and one other player. Oh, Zanetti.
That's it. That's the one.
Zanetti's the other one. But we also have a Prime Icon Moments SBC that's been released today as well, which doesn't look too bad in terms of requirements, I would say.
It's about, what, 700k?
Got 700. Okay, I thought it would be a little bit cheaper than that. I was thinking 550, 600.
Let me just check Footbin to double check. Oh no, sorry, I'm wrong. My apologies. 800k.
Oh, okay.
795 specifically is what it's showing.
Okay.
Fodder prices might have
like
rose
expensive.
at this point. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
You'd expect fodder prices to have gone up. The specific requirements. Let me scroll along. Yeah, the 88 doesn't require an inform. The 87 does. So does the second. The 86 is two informs needed, and that's with the 86, the second 86, and the 87. Then 88 40 chem and 86 55.
Without Brad here, we'd need to make sure that we're doing the job, making sure we're supplying the information Brad would normally do when he is here.
In a fraction of the time, though.
No,
not leaving
I was going to say no comment. No comment. No comment from me.
So I'd just like to say EA have done what we said last week. A nice little combo of the two ideas with the showdowns for the Silver Stars. They did put in two of them. They did put both available. And I rate that. I don't even know if that game happened between Marseille and Montpellier. I don't know if that game's gone ahead, right, but they're both showing 72 on the objective still, because I've not done them somehow at this point.
Yes, they did play, and Marseille won. So Marseille, so that is
De La Fuente.
Yeah, is getting the upgrade,
which is a nice American card to link to Dempsey. There we go, back on topic. Nailed it.
There, exactly. There we go. That's why Dempsey's worth so much. Then
yeah,
people have got the McKennie, De La Fuente, and now they're going out and getting themselves a Dempsey.
There you
Perfect. Go. It all comes and together and fits nicely at the end of the day. Somebody's got Pulisic as well, maybe.
Maybe someone who did the Fire and Ice SBC, wasn't it?
Yes, the player pick.
And talking of, thank you for that transition. I was going to try and work my way to this. There is the 80 plus and the 85 plus player picks, which we've opened a few of those 80 pluses. The 85 didn't pay off for me, I'll tell you that now. But I managed to get that Quagliarella from my 80 plus, as well as a few walkouts. How did they go for you, Mers?
So I don't know how many I did because I was literally doing one, opening it, another one, opening it. But I would say I've done about 10. 3 walkouts, which is Trent Suarez and somebody else. I also got an informed Guendouzi, Firmino, and then I think the rest are like 81s to 83. So not too bad considering that from 10, 3 walkouts is quite a good return when you think about it financially, I guess, in terms of for doing SBCs.
The more you think about it, the worse it gets.
But I would say the positivity from it is, I think, is the fact that it's a 1 of 4, because a lot of the player picks recently have been 1 of 2s, and I'm not a huge fan of the 1 of 2s because I just think obviously the probability of getting a win is obviously a lot smaller because you've only got 2 players showing.
I just got Milito.
I've
done one. Really, I just done one for the thing and I got Milito. We take those. We take the FUT Hero Captain. You can get them in this. Turns out you can get them in this.
Wait, you've just done
I've just done one and got Milito's
plus.
93. 80 plus. I can switch cameras. Bam. Right there.
What the
I've switched cameras for the YouTube people. There is Milito on screen. We are loving life.
Right, that's it. I've got to do one.
Milito 93 is now sitting in my club. That's how much? 670k. Bam. Enough said. Enough said.
Why? That I guess that might like.
This is your Vidic. This is my Vidic moment. All right, this is my Vidic moment.
This is your Vidic moment. But would I like to say that if this was part of Pack to the Future, that would have been a nice little opportunity to put another score on the board. But
good day at the office for me. Let's get back onto the topics at hand. These 80 plus are paying out, as you can tell. The 85. I don't know if you've done your 85, Mers.
I'm saving mine for afterwards because I will record it for sure. So.
Well, it's I believe it's a daily. I believe it stacks. It's one of the unique, repeatable, daily repeatable.
Oh, it's fine. I'll do multiple ones. Is it a stackable one? I'll have a look in.
I think it's a stackable one. From what I saw, I've already done mine and it got me, I think, an 86. So it wasn't standout. I think it paid off for Brad though, from what I saw on Twitter.
Oh.
I've seen it pay off for some people. I think I saw a Who Do I Take on Twitter from Brad. Any other cards come out this week that have taken your fancy? That João Felix Player of the Month, maybe?
No. Nah. I mean, I wonder why I don't want to do João Felix. I think, it's because it's getting close to Team of the Season now. Mm-hmm. So I feel doing someone who's not exceptional to like use during Team of the Season, I don't really want to do. So I'm really like turning down some of the players. Like so Fernandinho, for instance, I'm going to be turning him down. He does look like a good card, but I just think during Team of the Season there'll be better cards than Fernandinho out there.
Okay.
Now, one that would be interesting to do is Yao Quinn, because that card does not look too bad with on the key stats 90 pluses across the board with them 78 physical, which isn't too bad. That is one that might be a bit more tempting to do, but yeah, I'm not going to do Fernandinho, Usman, Felix and stuff.
Have you seen how cheap Felix is? Felix is only an 83 of an inform, I believe. That's why I bring up Felix. I've done that. It's dead cheap. It's 20k. That's why I thought I'd bring him up. It's a very, very cheap card, and if you remember past FIFAs, that card shredded people. I know it came out, I think, about January. The last time Player of the Month, João Felix was a thing. That tore people shreds then. Is this an April card?
Tab, it's just something that upsets me so much, and my stat merchant ways.
Oh no, hang on. Let me see if I can deduce it. Hang on. This is Felix. Hang on, let's check his stats.
It's just.
Let me just look at the work. Oh, yep, there it is. Medium. There it is. It's medium work rate straight off the bat.
Some bad
problem solved.
I'm afraid. I can't stand it. Got to be high, medium, low, medium, low. Got to be something along those. That's probably the biggest thing that I've had the problem with Veghorst. The card is good, but the high work rates ruined that card for me.
I mean, I can safely say I don't notice work rates too much this year. Having used Andre Silva's medium all year, I only really noticed that on wingers, really. That's where I notice it, is on wingers.
But this is where it boils down to play style, I think. Because I prefer the paced game style, like attacking as quick as I possibly can, whereas you are the more patient person.
Methodical is what I prefer.
Methodical. Whereas you will take your time. You will pick out the passes and stuff like that. I'm just like, I just want to get down there so I can have a shot and then start defending or something like that, or score a goal. It depends on the outcome of the situation. But yeah, that's like the trick to me with the online career mode that we both do. Is that I have... I think my average possession in that league is 35%.
Yeah, I think I've been mainly I'm sort of around the 40-50%, but I'm known more as a counter-attacker in that league as well. Something about PS4 gameplay makes me more counter-attack based.
Yeah, it's a bit slower, but then normal teams is a bit slower, full stop anyway. But shall we move on to this week in football? Shall we?
Yeah, we absolutely can. Do you want to cover the Premier League, or? I mean, what's going?
I'll just
wrong,
get
or?
I'll get the certain something out of the way with this week in football. Arsenal lost again.
It baffles me. Like Brighton. You'd have. The injury to Kieran Tierney, I mentioned this as a Q&A question just in case, but I think that's the big problem, is Kieran Tierney's injury. Thomas Partey doesn't help as well, but I think that one...
Yeah, correct.
That one you could live with. I think Kieran Tierney is the big problem.
It's put a lot of pressure on the defence.
I think it's put a lot of pressure on...
Granit Xhaka.
You say have to play. I don't think he had to play Xhaka at all.
We played Granit Xhaka. I will reiterate then, which didn't bode well for us. But I think the main reason why Tavares didn't start is what happened against Crystal Palace.
Yes, but at that point he's your only natural left-sided fullback. Left back. Because Tomiyasu's not around, so it's not like you could do Cedric, what I was going to say, where you play maybe Cedric left back and Tomiyasu right back, because that's not a possibility. You're being absolutely ravaged. I'd say the same for Spurs with Doherty's injury, but then we've just got Reguilon and Sessegnon back in the same week, so we're not completely blown. If this had happened a week earlier, we'd be at panic stations as well without a left wing back. We'd have had to have played. Say that Ben Davies would have had to have played left wing back, which would be about our third, fourth choice option. It wouldn't have been preferable. But I think this sort of decision making has to come down to the manager for me at this point. Not to just take digs at Arteta for digs' sake. The decision to ultimately play Xhaka in a position he's not natural, rather than a natural left back, would lie with him.
He's not James Milner, shall we say?
Yeah.
He's not a utility player that you could put at left back and he will take to it like a duck in water. He's only played, as far as I'm aware, he's only played one position his whole entire career anyway, which is straight down the middle of midfield.
As a deep-lying playmaker, which the fact that he keeps getting... Do you think Granit Xhaka's just been misused most of his Arsenal career? Because for me, he's always been a deep-lying playmaker that you've tried to mould into an out-and-out DM most of the time. That's what it seems to me. Like the difference between him at international and club level is very noticeable, and they play him as a deep-lying playmaker.
I don't think we tried to play him as a proper like out-and-out CDM. I just feel like a majority of the time over last 3, 4, 5 years, however long he's been at the club, he's not. There hasn't really been a great CDM other than maybe Thomas Partey, but then Thomas Partey's injury stricken half the time. He hasn't got the best fitness record whilst being at Arsenal. I don't know what it was when he was like at Atletico Madrid.
I'd have to look into that. I couldn't tell you either.
A lot of players, a lot of the time at Arsenal, don't seem to have good fitness records. Seems to always be a reoccurring thing. I remember under Wenger, you'd see on like teams with the most days of absences from players, and Arsenal typically used to be near the top of it. Like I can remember Abou Diaby and the amount of times he was out injured. Thomas Rosicky had a lot of time as well out injured with us. Aaron Ramsey as well.
Wilshere.
Like the list is so long.
Got nicknamed Wheelchair, like it was that bad. Like
yeah.
You even think you had Danny Welbeck on the books. Danny Welbeck's injury record's criminal. Even Theo Walcott, I think, at times for you. Like many a player seems to... I don't know what it is, but something historically does seem to just happen. And it's normally at this point in the season. Normally at crunch time in the season, people just wind up getting injured for you. Because even when you were competing for titles in the late 2010s, not late 2010s, the early 2010s, late 2000s, you'd be
late 2000s in particular.
You'd be coming up to March, and then you'd fall off, normally due to injuries.
I think it's Arsenal as a whole. We tend to have a good start and a bad finish, or a bad start and a good finish. It's normally one of those two. This
year it seems to have been the opposite. The bad start this year turned into a great middle, it seems to be Peter. I don't want to talk too soon as a Tottenham fan because I'm used to a history of bottling, but the door is being absolutely presented to us wide open. I would have said that Arsenal were the favourites personally 2 games ago, maybe even a game ago.
I mean, there's one positive I can say for both of us.
It's going to be decided possibly by a North London derby 3 games from the end. That's going to be a crucial game.
At least we're not a Man United fan.
True. Also, let's be honest, after your opening 3 games, you didn't expect to be here.
Yes.
After the start of your season, Arteta was, and even before the season, would you have expected top 4 this season? I'm trying to remember back to...
Before the season started, I probably would have said... we'd probably be 5th or 6th, something like that.
That's
then, when the first 3 games ended the way they ended, I was like, okay, we're probably more like looking maybe 8th, 7th. And then obviously this run of form and climbing up the table that we did, it looked like, okay, top 4 could possibly doing it. But now that with the fact that we haven't got Tommy Ashu and Kieran Tierney, I'm just going to say, no, we're looking at probably 5th or 6th as our final position now.
I think you're safe for 6th. I think you'll get 5th minimum.
Yeah.
Because Man United have still got some... Well, Man United's form's in the bin.
Yeah,
losing to an Everton side that just lost a crunch time must-win game. And then Burnley go and pass up the game at Norwich. I watched that game. Firstly, very boring. Waste of my time. But that game, Burnley weren't fired up for at all. Burnley did nothing. Norwich came out the gates. They weren't well beat as just bloody Norwich, of course. But they at least seemed up for it. I don't know what Dean Smith did, but he managed to get the team fired up whilst Burnley just, even when behind after 10 minutes, just played about, didn't do too much. They didn't have much of the ball possession. They didn't have many chances. They were getting shown about by Norwich. But the crowd were very much up for it at Norwich as well. The crowd were very much behind them from the get-go. So that might have been a big factor, but after how much effort and how big a result at Turf Moor it was midweek, to then show up to Norwich in a arguably your easy game in this run-in, to put pressure on Everton, who'd just beaten United, you knew you needed these 3 points, and
They didn't.
You just showed up. You didn't show up in terms of... Deitch must have been losing his mind. I expected a different Burnley to come out second half. But there was no inspiration.
I feel it's Burnley's away form, though. I'm pretty sure, like, when you look up where they've picked up points, I'm pretty sure it's maybe 90% up Turf Moor with maybe the odd away draw. Because I think they've got 4 wins and 12 draws, Burnley, or something along those lines. I
will double check that stat. But to bring it back to the sort of top 4 debate, West Ham losing was a great bit of news for Spurs and Arsenal. They've played an extra game and they're still behind. Burnley have won 4 and drawn 12. You are correct. But looking at it, you got a game in hand on Spurs to go level, which then means North London derby's huge. But those 2 games were against teams that are mid-table and not much more. Palace, put respect on Palace's name, with the 3-0 result, it wasn't just something to flatter them. They're in a cup semi-final with Vieira. Vieira's done very well with this team, considering where Hodgson left it with the negative. Hodgson left it in an okay state in terms of they were not in relegation threatened position, but they had a mass exodus of players. He's done a rebuild in such a short period of time in a cup semi-final against the Chelsea side who, barring this weekend's result, have looked a bit shaky in recent times. 6-0 against Southampton is very much a statement that they're not fully on the ropes. But Palace done well, and they're a good side. Brighton, I will say, I was shocked to see beat Arsenal. They scored the 2nd or 3rd least amount of goals. They've been a draw merchant all season. After their impressive start, they've got 13 draws, 8 wins. They don't lose games all too often, but they normally get like a 1-1. That's the typical bet. I'll chuck on 1-1 Brighton versus whoever. With your run-in, it's not the kindest. Spurs have Liverpool, which that's a game that I fully expect to lose. This is at Anfield as well. We got a point off them at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, but we're not beating Liverpool. We're not getting a point off Liverpool. Not if they're chasing down Man City, which that was a cracking game to watch.
I think you might be able to nick a point off of Liverpool, truth be told. The thing is
shows up.
Your results, though, when you've got, like, you get good performances like you did against Man City, and then you go and do a bad performance, but it's against like a smaller team. Your good games have mainly come from the bigger teams, predominantly. I would say under Conte.
Yeah, six points against City, but Liverpool at Anfield are different gravy. You can get points off big teams all you like. Going to Anfield and getting something, that is not easy to do at all. Did West Ham do it? I'm gonna say that might be the only team this season that have done it. I'm gonna verify that now, but no, they lost 1-0. It was at West Ham. It was at the Olympic Stadium. They lost 1-0 at Anfield. Did West Ham? Going to Anfield and getting a result is so difficult. No one's got a win, and only 3 teams have got a draw. I'm not in any shape or form going to say that Spurs are getting anything out of that game. We might put up a fight. I know we've given them a good game the last few years.
Yeah, but you've got a very on fire Son at the moment.
I wouldn't have said Son, honestly. Son did good. Like, Kane's been different levels. He's not got goals, but that man has been absolutely outrageous in terms of passing, in terms of vision. He's not even got them fully on assists. Like this, if you saw the goal for, I think it was Son's third, or it might have been his second. It is just a little flick on header from Kettler. Romero's done the equivalent of a Toby Alderweireld when he ping it long to Dele Alli. He's pinged it to the middle of the pitch. One look around from Kane, and then he does a little flick header, and Son runs onto it, perfectly weighted, 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper. Little things like that. Kane is he's turned his season around well and truly. After the start of the season where he wasn't looking motivated, he didn't want to be there. He's knuckled down. Whether that's he's knuckling down to get a transfer, I don't know. If it is, it's a shame, but I don't see where he goes now. City have pretty much signed up Haaland. Man United's not an appealing place to go. Liverpool won't spend that much money on a player. Unless for some reason they go, Salah's gone, but they won't do this, and then buy Harry Kane. I don't see where he goes.
Mainly because of the price tag as well.
Price tag locking people out of it 100%. When you're asking for 100 million, 150 million for Harry Kane, who's 29, 28, 29, one of those two, you're not going to exactly see people jumping in. United have more pressing places to replace than striker. They've been crying for a CDM for about 3 years, maybe longer. They need preferably a right back and a centre back. From what I can see, they might need a striker, but why not go Darwin Núñez at that point? Which I'm shocked. I'd be shocked Arsenal aren't linked with him, because you need a striker. Darwin Núñez should be right up your street. From what I've heard, 100%. He's linked with Chelsea, PSG, and Man United. Not heard anything about Arsenal.
I read something about Núñez and Arsenal today.
That's something then.
Yeah.
But that seems like an ideal one, with improving himself on a European stage as well.
Yeah, it would be good to have Núñez, especially after missing out on Vlahovic in January, because that is the one difference. And when we're talking about the top four and the argument and North London derby, which we say could potentially settle the matter, your attack is better than ours. At the end of the day, we don't really even have a striker that can score goals. We just got a striker that maybe is just trying to create the space for the people behind him, but we need a striker that chips in with the goals at the end of the day, and that's what we don't have, and that's what will probably be the big difference maker in the North London derby.
Just in top four race in general. I don't know how true this is. I'm pretty certain I heard a stat that Lacazette and Nketiah have only contributed this calendar year to only one goal in open play.
I can imagine that is true, which has come from Lacazette, I believe.
I think so. And Lacazette scored a penalty. Apart from that, I think it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I think it was Lacazette, but I think the only thing he's done since then is score a penalty.
Yeah.
But as a striker for a top four side, you need more than that.
Yep.
You 100% need more than that. The team's done really well for Arsenal, but the wheels have come off at this point because left back depth and decision making in that department, and a lack of a striker, simply put.
Mm-hmm.
Your creative midfield is very good. Ødegaard, Martinelli, Saka, Smith Rowe. You've got more than enough there. You just need someone on the end of it. And then Arsenal are very much a threat for top four. I don't want to say anything more, because the way we started this conversation was, would you have said at the beginning of the season top four is a possibility? depending on what people said, you'd have said yes based off of most money spent, but that was mainly on future prospects. So Ramsdale, so Ben White, who aren't complete players or weren't expected to be complete players when they arrived. They were ones that for the future. Tavares, Sambi Lokonga. These are all players to develop into players that would then become either sellable assets or, in Sambi Lokonga and maybe Tavares' case, or England internationals in terms of Ramsdale and Ben White. It's more potential in a project as such. The fact that Nearly's paying dividends straight away into a top 4 slot, which most people wouldn't have expected. I know I didn't. I said Arsenal finish above Spurs, but I didn't say for that. I said for about 7th and 8th.
But I think we should move on to the team of the week. Do you want to go through it for the listeners?
Yep. So, from what I've got here, I'm looking at a Jordan Pickford team of the week in goal, which is not something you'd expect me to say outside of an international break. I might have a different one in front of you here, by the way. I'm looking at one I found on Twitter. We've got Bremer, the Torino centre-back, Brazilian. Perisic at left wing-back and Lucas Vasquez as a right-back card. Possible upgrade for Julian Brandt's headliners. David Silva and a featured team of the week for Mwepu. This has got down Mbappe. I don't think they're going to do it. I think they'd rather pull the trigger on a 96 Messi, personally. Immobile got, I believe, a hat-trick in real life, and probably for you in the league, Mers.
Correct. Another hat-trick.
There you go. He loves life. I'm going to butcher this name. I'm stalling on this because I'm just going to struggle. It's the Rene right winger. Bourigeau.
Oh yeah, he was in team of the week like 2 weeks ago or something like that.
Something like that. So it's less likely.
Yeah.
But he could possibly get one from what I'm seeing here. Kulusevski's the one they've got down, but that could easily be Heung-min Son for his hat trick. Maxwell Cornet, which that ages like milk. If you look at his weekend game, where he missed a sitter in that Norwich game, he's missed a tap in at back post that could have made it 1-1. Dominic Szoboszlai for a second in form, but he's also got a better Europa League road to the final card. I believe he got 1 goal, 1 assist. Could be wrong, it could be 2. But he was influential in Leipzig's win over Hoffenheim 4th versus 6th. Diego Lopez, that man we mentioned just a few minutes ago in Darwin Núñez, is predicted to get an inform. And outside of that, we're looking at a bunch of low-rated ones we're not going to really associate.
Like you said, a couple of times this year, to be fair, team of the week isn't as what it used to be, mainly because of the promos.
Even with them trying something new of it with the featured, it's not enough, really.
Yeah.
The promos drown it out. On top of that, really, it's if they'd done them more like the FIFA 12 times where they just absolutely jack someone randomly. So like the featured team of the week, but on a lower rated card. So my example for the FIFA 12 style is always Kevin Morales. I'm looking at the card now. I've just got it up. Morales, 77 rated right wing normal card. He got a 79 in form that upped his shooting from 74 to 82. He didn't get an upgrade in pace or 2 defending, but they'd normally focus on 1 stat and just go, we're going to jack that up. So he got 3 passing, no defending, 3 heading, 2 dribbling, no pace, 8 shooting. The 82 rated in form ended up having 91 shooting on an 82. So that's when Team of the Weeks were desired, when they would just do something crazy like that. They didn't upgrade anything else other than the shooting. It was 1 pace, 2 dribbling from the other in form, no defending again, 2 heading, 3 passing. It was just... This card, I think it was worth 250k. I don't know where I remember that from, but he would just ping shots. They would just go mental on it and go, "Do you know what? I'm feeling this."
To be fair, when you said 250k, and I was like, geez, that's a lot of coins. But then thinking about it, back then, when people didn't have price caps and stuff, that was pretty much the general sort of like market, wasn't it? You got to compare the market from now to back then, how much different it is. Player caps that you have now, players this year being incredibly cheap, even the top tier ones. I saw something actually quite interesting when looking at the prime icon moments players. There is only 6 prime icon moments over 5 mil.
And I came up against one of them this weekend league.
Ronaldo.
Yep, I came up against R9 about 4 or 5 times this weekend league. One of which was the moments, 2 of which were I think 2 or 3 were the prime. I could deal with the moments one. I caused a rage quit in that game. But every time I faced the prime, it ruined me. It ruined me in the last game. I missed out on going 14-6. I went 13-7 instead. I got virtually nothing from my champs rewards, but the Leipzig past and present was a nice sort of relaxing one to take out, despite coming into R9 territory constantly.
Well, it's even like I was looking to get a prime icon moments or something from my team, and I just looked at the prices of some of them, and I was a little bit surprised at just how cheap some of them are. Like, say for instance, Eto is 1.6 mil for his prime icon moments. I would have thought it would be over 2 mil. Cantona is under 2 mil as well.
I am shocked to hear that, honestly. The 1.6 mil for Eto, considering how on par he is normally with Puskas. I know Puskas got a massive upgrade on the weak foot and the skills, but to see Eto at 1.6...
Whoa, I've just increased the price range to 3 mil just to see how many players are over 3 mil. It's not even that big of a list.
Puskas is 3.6. I know that, because I need to get that card eventually.
15 players. 15 cards, basically.
So, what? Puskas, Vieira... I don't want to take this challenge.
By the way, Patrick Vieira is not over 3 mil.
Okay, then.
I'll find out how much he is right now. 2.1 or just under 2.2 mil.
He was worth 5.5 when I packed him in Team of the Season last year. That's such a drop. Actually, no, to be fair, he doesn't have 4-star skills anymore. I think he still has 3. He had 4-star.
He's got 3, correct.
He had 4-star last year, I think. So that might be a factor, but I doubt it. Not too much of a factor. So what? Puskas, Eusebio, R9, Zidane, Pele.
So,
Maradona doesn't exist, does he? Maradona's prime moments never came out, did he?
No, it is out. It's over 5 mil. Basically.
Yeah, that was brief, wasn't it? It was like a week or 2.
Welcome to the market of FIFA 22.
Ronaldinho's barely there. He's 5.2, like 5.3. So he's gonna drop under that soon. Give him a couple weeks.
Give him team of the season, and team of the season. Ronaldinho,
maybe
Hullet,
Cruyff.
and Cruyff will be under 5 mil. And Pele.
Wait, did you say and Pele?
And Pele, because Pele's only
He's 5.1. Oh my life!
Exactly.
I think I encountered a Moments Pele this weekend league as well.
They probably might have even gone out and brought them because of like that sort of price, and if you've saved up the coins, which to be fair, it isn't that hard to get the coins. Let's be fair.
Yeah, if I sold my Leipzig team, I'm about a third of the way to the Puskas.
It's like, it's mental. But I think on that we'll go into the Q&A section now.
I can't be more shocked than anything they've got with the Q&A than some of these revelations.
Right, so we're going to go back to, because we missed out on the Q&A last week, we are going to use your questions from last week. So with the missed footage, we did try to talk about FUTX's FUT question, which is, with no summer international tournament this year, how long into the game cycle do you see yourselves playing FIFA? Have you got a set end point, or do you see your interest gradually petering out? Now, thinking about how I've just seen about the market and state of it, and how bad it's going to be with Team of the Season, because bearing in mind how much easier it's going to be to get Team of the Season cards with FUT Champs this year.
Yeah. No, you're not wrong.
It's going to make the high-end ones even cheaper. So, like, say for instance, last year when I packed Frankie de Jong, who was worth 2 mil last year, I can picture that exact same card this year probably being about 700k.
Well, I was going to look for the comparison with his 89. Well, it's two 89s, but his live 89 he had.
Mm-hmm.
And that right now is 185k. So, yeah, you're probably in the right ballpark saying 700k for a de Jong. The one that I'm going to be obviously on the hunt for is Nkunku. But that card's going to probably be about 700k. His headliners is now 206, because that card's coming to the end of its life cycle.
Wow.
His player of the month was 300k. About a month ago, that card was 500. It's had a sharp decline in the last month because Team of the Season's right around the corner. But I will say my interest is coming back. Everyone's interest seemingly is coming back coming into Team of the Season. It's not to the previous hype levels of other Team of the Seasons. A lot of people are, quote, fed up with the game. I've taken my break. I'm coming back and a bit more refreshed. So if I'd have been doing this and still playing FIFA and streaming it weekly, or more than weekly, like try weekly or something like that, I'd have burnt out hard and probably wouldn't even care. But now I'm refreshed off of playing some other things, taking a mini break from streaming, etc. Then I think my interest is gonna be there. The summer tournament I did cover last week before my footage corrupted. I did pose you the question actually, Mers, about what happens to the World Cup promo, considering it would be in December.
Yes, we were discussing that, weren't we? And
because it's not going to have nutty cards for a change. It's going to have man of the matches, but they're going to be December sort of ratings.
Yeah, December level, not July
in game
level. Yeah,
you're not going to see You're not going to. Well, you might see with De Bruyne specifically, but the one that I remember packing was the 92 De Bruyne, who had an 86 base card. I remember getting that card. I think he got a 94 later on that tournament. That was FIFA 16. You could see that with De Bruyne if he got a 92 because his standard's a 91. But yeah,
sorry.
Normally jacked up cards at that point. It's going to feel weird seeing them floating around for most of the year, and it'll be a nice thing. But how will it impact the winter promo? Will interest me, because the winter promo, winter wildcards, previously Footmas, Freeze, whatever you want to call it, they normally do something progressively by the day, and the World Cup will be going on all throughout that period where they'd normally do that. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how EA decide to tackle that. And no summer promo, they'll extend footies as we said last week or something like that to just carry it through.
But as Brad is not here, he did say about the World Cup will have its own separate external game mode. That takes focus, as I said, away from FUT personally, and leading up to Christmas as well, they need to have probably a little bit of focus on FUT to make sure that it stays in the public eye, I guess. So I'm not 100% convinced there will be a standalone game mode, or if there, I don't know how it's going to work with it being in this November, December.
That's going to throw it off a lot, but I think they might do it. They've done it pretty much every other time. The only exception I can think is Euro 2020. If they have done something vaguely to do with Euro 2020, they could have maybe pulled those assets across.
They didn't have the rights. They don't have the rights to Euros, whereas then they have the rights to the World Cup. So it's a bit weird.
That's true.
You don't know.
That's true. Then I think they would push through the World Cup mode still. EA's last time with the license, etc., shill through.
Yeah.
You'd think they'd do it.
Oh, whoa! I've just had a thought.
Eyebrows been raised.
If they did do incredibly jacked up cards during the World Cup, but it's only during the World Cup.
Oh, so you're saying Halloween style cards?
Yes.
But then, that's really, the pricing on that would be so awkward.
But then they could do it like the Silver Stars or something like that, where it's objectives and stuff. So you get them untradeable. They're never on the market. So it's grindable content. You get something that can pique people's interest and get them excited, because like seeing 95, 96 rated cards in November, December, but then the final is around the 23rd, I think it is, or something like that. It's only a couple of days before Christmas, the final. And then like go into Christmas and there you go. They go down, but they're still like boosted a little bit, but just like back to a December-esque rating or something. So it gives you something.
I could see it being fully like Halloween. I could see it being fully like the Halloween cards of years gone by, in the sense that I can see them going and enabling them again closer to team of the season, maybe around now, maybe March, April time, re-enabling.
Yeah. Because
to lose those cards permanently would feel really weird. You got a card that you're holding up, because what would they revert back to? Just a minor upgrade, like as if they were an inform, or would they just fully revert?
Yes, they could. Well, they could even do some really crazy stuff. So they do like a Halloween style thing, and then a numbers up style thing, with consistent upgrades.
This is too complicated for EA.
It's too complicated, but the original idea of them having really jacked up cards during the World Cup only, and then to revert into let's try and think of an example then. So let's take your favorite player, Mr. Andre Silva. So he's 84 rated. He's let's pretend he's 84 rated in FIFA 23. So
let's pretend definitely he's getting a downgrade. Surely
he goes to 92 rated during the World Cup, and then afterwards he goes to like an 87, so he would lose 5 rating.
Interesting.
So it makes him an upgrade, but not like just a +1 or something like that. It makes it like something that you might be able to keep in your team for that time of the year.
I'm not saying the concept will work, I'm just saying it won't happen. It's way too much effort from EA's part to have a card that will downgrade. Specifically, EA hate downgrading cards. Do you remember what I'm gonna say? It was FIFA 16, might have been FIFA 15 was like. Do you remember that when they downgraded John Terry from an 84 to an 82 and stuff like that? The first winter refresh, where it was that they downgraded some people and went. Imagine that these days, where you're like, oh, this player would be perfect for my SBC. Oh, they got a downgrade. Oh, that one's not on the market anymore. People would lose their mind. People would flip out.
See, the thing is I looked forward to that a little bit, because mainly because of the upgrades, obviously, because of the fact that you have players that are performing well throughout the season, and he jumped up the standard card, but it also affected the special cards as well.
It was almost like a lottery. Because it affected
was
certain people's special cards. If it was enough of an upgrade, it would affect the special cards, but it might not. And then who would actually... It was such a lottery at the same time.
It is. It also depended on EA at the end of the day, with who they choose and who they don't choose.
But things like that, from a content creator's point of view, was great content. You could make a video going, predicted upgrades for, and then put like a bunch of people in the thumbnail and go like, oh, up, down arrows. Ooh.
Yeah.
Now that doesn't really happen anymore. It of course is what people did. Like,
yeah.
You would.
But in terms of the end point, I think it all depends on how much content EA give us during the summer. But we know that they're going to give us lots of content, especially in September and August. That they'll give us objectives, obviously grind towards FIFA 23 with the starter packs and loan cards, coin. What is it? What are they actually called? Where you get like 500 coins for the first 5 games or something.
Coin bonuses.
Yeah, coin bonuses and stuff. So I'm probably going to play FIFA 22 up until FIFA 23 for me. I feel with maybe an incy-wincy bit of other things thrown in. I feel
it'll be on rotation.
Yeah. But let's go on to the next question. Kofta has asked, what's an unpopular opinion that you guys have that you haven't already mentioned in previous episodes? Now, I feel like we needed a certain somebody here to come up with the best unpopular opinions, whether it's the fruit and nut. I suppose I can come up with
fruit and nut. Don't remind me of that. Stop reminding that. I keep getting reminded of his damn fruit and nut bar stuff. Is this to do with FIFA or generally?
It does. It sounds generally because it doesn't mention FIFA. I mean,
oh dear, there's so many. You know, and you're just stuck for choice. It's such a good question as well. There's so many good answers you could give, and I can't think of any.
I'm gonna have a little think. And I think you're going to have a little think by the sounds of things.
Yeah.
Will come.
But it's controversial. It's not controversial enough to get us cancelled.
Yes.
We've got to be careful at the same time here.
So, my unpopular opinion is the European Super League idea is actually a good idea.
Oh, my life. Okay, right. Yeah, okay. Alright. Let's hear it. Considering I've had to hear this most of my life, bear in mind, so you're gonna have to justify something. My dad's someone who's had a vision for European Super League since 1999. So I cannot wait to hear this. Please.
So in terms of for generally the popularity of the sport, it would help increase the popularity of the sport on a global basis, because the fact that you've got the big teams playing against each other, and I think that's good. So maybe you have I don't know quite how many teams to put into this, but maybe on similar length to maybe the Champions League or something. So let's say 32 teams. So you pick like these staple teams, but then you have invitees from other leagues. So it also will help the development of more local teams and stuff like that. So it gives opportunity for teams that you would never see silverware suddenly win silverware, because you don't have your Man Uniteds, your Chelseas, your Man Cities and stuff like that competing, say, in the Premier League. So then suddenly your Aston Villas, your Evertons, your Burnleys, for God's sakes, could potentially even go and win the title, and then they win it, and then they get invited into the Super League, so they get to compete and get the opportunity to earn themselves more money and financially stabilize themselves as a club. And then the next, because they're then out of the Premier League, another team can basically win it, so you get to see a variety of teams winning, say, the domestic side of things, and then you get to see these big clashes on, say, the world stage and stuff like that. And I think, generally speaking, it could be a potentially good thing, but I think it was just maybe just poorly executed, and obviously seen 100% as a greedy thing. And yes, okay, there will be more money involved in the Super League, but if you also put some restrictions on Super League, so like in terms of the transfers and stuff, so that it isn't purely all the big names are in the Super League, so you do get to see some big names in the domestic leagues with the teams that are staying in the domestic leagues. I think it could work for the domestic leagues and the big teams and stuff like that on a general side of things, because you could even still have exciting domestic leagues that could work commercially for companies and stuff like that. So I think personally the Super League could be a good thing, just maybe needs a bit more food for thought before trying to execute it so that it can work for all parties involved, including like the grassroots all the way upwards. Like you could maybe even say an X amount of money from the Super League has to be diverted to domestic leagues and to grassroots football clubs, so that can give them a bit more financial stability. So from like League 2 teams and League 1 teams and non-league teams and stuff like that.
I won't lie, you if you'd said this to most other people, this would sound brand new. I kid you not, this is what I've had to deal with for about 20 years. I kid you not. Like, my dad has... And this sounds like one of the... Oh, my dad does this. No, he's just an accountant, but he had this dream of a European Super League. He had a board game, etc., and everything planned up. And... he always wanted it to filter down to grassroots. He said that it doesn't work. The questions that I'd ask are, how does relegation work? How do you guarantee the person who comes top of the Premier League, who wins that, goes up, and who comes down filters into the Premier League? Because say you've got 4 Premier League teams and they all finish somehow fourth, third, second, and first, and one of them gets relegated whilst the teams in a bad league, not bad league, but in one of the other leagues, say finish. Let's say Ligue 1 has 4 representatives and they're 20th through 17th, and then PSG or somewhere.
Yeah.
One of them gets relegated. It's getting the balance on something like that and introducing the likes of the Eredivisie for Ajax. It's such a difficult balancing act to get a European Super League together. I think it's too much complications if you're trying to make it fair. That's my, of many years experience debating this in a household, and why it doesn't work is there's not really a fine line balancing act, as much as my dad tries to tell me otherwise. There's not a fine line balancing act to make everything fair, everything work. It either favours the big teams, or the big teams don't want to be involved because it's too neutral, and then what's the point in them being in a Super League because they want it to benefit them ultimately. It can help grassroots, etc. It's a great idea, but would they go for it? I don't think they would.
Probably not.
Also, then the image rights to the Premier League drop because they've lost the big teams. The deals for those leagues get drastically worse before they get better. So it's when once you start digging down into the minor details, it falls apart. I think the concept of a European Super League.
Yes,
it's a good idea in principle if executed right, but I don't think it will be.
That's it, isn't it? It would take a hell of a lot trying to work it out logistically and financially for everyone involved, not just inside the Super League but also outside of the Super League.
So whilst I agree that that's an incredible hot take, I rate it, I really do. I just wish I wasn't so well prepared for it. I wish I hadn't spent the last 22 plus years dealing with, well, I wasn't listening to it when I was that young, but probably like 10, 15 years having this drilled at me. My one is a lot more tame by comparison because it's not influencing the whole of world football. But I say that Phil Jones gets into this Man United side. Harry Maguire's a shambles.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Varane's constantly injured, seemingly.
Mm-hmm.
Lindelof doesn't fill you with confidence. Phil Jones might be a meme. But if you look at his one time he played this season, he actually put in a great performance against Wolves. He may have caused the goal, but I don't know what else he does there. It was he's headed it out the box straight to Moutinho. But there's not really many other places he could put that and it's still a good finish. Phil Jones actually has looked solid this season. I think based off of the meme that he is for Chris Smalling, Phil Jones, that sort of thing, he's got a bad rep, but when he actually got given a chance, I think he took it fairly well. I believe he was rated their best player that day, and he's not got a run out. Yeah. And he's not got a run out since. So, with Maguire in the bin, by constantly either injured or inconsistent, I think Phil Jones, as much as everyone's like, he's a meme, his contract's expiring 23, we just want him off the books. He's a solid mid-table centre back, I reckon. I wouldn't be surprised. Is you saying nah to the mid-table centre-back part?
Nah. I think he could play for a top team in Italy.
In Italy? Okay, yeah, I was about to say a top team I was thinking, I don't think he walks into any other top 6 side. He might work abroad.
Yeah.
Who would he join, though? Join Chris Smalling at Roma? Oh, the partnership of dreams. EA would be all over that. EA would be all over that of an SBC mid-year. But I think if you put him in, say, a Crystal Palace, I think that would be a good fit. It's not what Vieira wants. It's not. I don't even think what he needs. But it'd be a decent, experienced head who can still do bits from time to time. It'd be what Gary Cahill was to Crystal Palace for a few years. I think he's good in that role. I think he's not even beyond 30. I could be wrong. I think he's about 28.
He's exactly 30.
He's still got a few years in him. He proved in that game, I think, against Wolves that he can read a game. Maybe he doesn't keep up with the pace as much because I think he was mainly sitting back deeper. But he can definitely do a rotation role, minimum, for a team. I don't think he's a starting centre-back, but I think he definitely should be in the conversation for playing ahead of Maguire, Lindelof and Bailly. Give him a chance. He took his chance fairly well. Got a player of the match for United, and then never seen since.
And well, Venom's asked about the Showdown promo, but that was
that's out of date. That's expired.
Already. Yeah, that's expired. Congratulations. And GH's question was directed to me and Brad because it was a question that he asked during the solo episode of the podcast.
The bucket list.
So about the bucket list. So
maybe we can take this off one at a time. We ticked it off one with me. What's your bucket list?
Yes. Now I think part of the bucket list question has already technically been asked in a previous episode about which countries would we like to go and visit. So
that
normally is on the bucket list basically. So New Zealand is a country that I would like to go to, but in terms of probably beyond visiting countries and stuff and taking out the content creation side of things, because that would be nice. I've not really had much in terms of ambitions. I feel like it's very much a younger, well, not always just a younger person's thing, but I think it's maybe like something you think about when you're younger, and then maybe once you've got kids and moved away and you get free time and stuff, it's not really something I've thought about whilst being a parent, things that I want to do. There's the obvious things like going on holidays and stuff, but that's not really a bucket list style of thing to do. would like to go to an a la carte restaurant again, I guess. That would be nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think I need to add actually having a family, like being in a relationship and kids to my one. I don't think I said that last time out, so I'll gladly add that to my strings to my bow.
Having a daughter's just out of the window because not having any more kids.
Well, I mean, you've got 4 little Stigs there, haven't you?
4 little... mainly probably 2 Stigs, then 4 Stigs.
Well, the others not quite hit Stig level yet, or they?
No, they're not. They're not Stig level in terms of behaviours and stuff.
Is there still time for that, or is that hopefully beyond?
No, they're beyond. Actually, no, I suppose they could when they're older, I guess. Potentially, but it's not really worth wanting to think about in terms of that side of things. Oh, I mean, but like the thing is, as I said, like when I was younger, there was probably things like, oh, maybe wanting to become a chef or something like that. That would have been nice, but I don't really want to be a chef because it's an ungodly amount of hours that one has to put in to be a chef when if they worked in a restaurant or something like that.
Respect to Sam, by the way, for being involved in that. I think it's Sam Strum is a chef, isn't he? In some shape
I'm not 100% sure.
I'm fairly sure he is.
Yes, he is. I know one of my cousins is a chef who happens to work in Prince Philip's cafe.
Interesting.
So yeah. Well, I don't know if she still works there, but she did anyway. But yeah, it's something I would have liked to have done, I suppose, if I was younger. Same with when I was younger. I wanted to be a games designer, but again, like, don't really have that sort of ambitions now. I'd rather be on the playing the video game side of things with the content creation and stuff, rather than actually designing the video games. But I suppose, yeah, I'm just a boring old man that doesn't really have much of a bucket list, I'm afraid, GH.
I mean, same with me, to be fair. I think I only said one thing and now I've added a second, which is family and kids, because I forgot about that. I think I'm more to the spur of the moment person. Like, I go based off of how I feel at the time.
I mean, the problem is at the same time, I'm more worried about, like, her to, like, doing bungee jumping. I'm worried that the cable might snap or something like that. Swimming with sharks. I'm worried that the shark might eat me or something.
Yeah, no, it's. I mean, some people start adrenaline buffs. That's a legitimate thing. So fair enough. That's not your forte.
It's not my type of thing. I'm an old man. I want to live.
I want to live. Just, what a statement. I want to live. I'm glad to hear that, Mez.
Maybe GH, you need to tell me what's on your bucket list. See if it's better than mine.
Make good food.
Don't put water on a plate.
Oh dear, we violate that man way too much. We violate
Complete an SBC in under 60 seconds.
Oh god. Oh, it's violations constantly at GH's expense.
Hey, you could have defended yourself today, GH, but you chose not to come onto the podcast.
We did attempt to give him a platform, we will say.
Yeah. Maybe you should accept that invite and then you can try and get your own back or something, GH. There we go. Open invitation for all to hear and see. So, I think we are going to leave that as the questions for this week. And that is going to be another episode of the podcast. This is episode 29. So, you know, the numbers are nicely getting up and up and up. I'm looking forward to when we're in the triple digits. That's going to be amazing. That's going to be
a lot of FIFA's / new thing that's coming out.
Exactly. Maybe we have to start doing double episodes a week so we can get to 100 quicker.
Maybe. I mean, Brad's availability would be even worse.
GH, we need you. But yeah, that is it for this week's episode. It's I don't know how long this episode is going to be because our recording thing says 2 hours. Like last week we thought was bad with an hour and 50. We've broken that with 2 hours and 4 minutes. So we don't.
You say that though. There's definitely cuts in here.
There is cuts. So, but we will see you all in the next week's episode.
Hopefully,
with all Tears podcast.
Hopefully, 3 foot tears. We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
We'll soon find out.
Hopefully, Brad's feeling better.
Indeed, he was feeling a bit tired today. That's all I know. That's all we know.
We've not been told anything more than that. So
yeah,
we're hoping it's just that he's feeling worn out. Hopefully nothing more serious than that.
And Luke, thank you for being on the podcast with me.
No worries. The ever present.
It would have been interesting if you took the week off and left me on the in the helm all by myself to see how long I could last. The benchmark is half an hour, right?
35 minutes. Let's put some. We're not just gonna. 35 minutes. It wasn't 30. It was a car crash, but it was 35.
Right, yeah. 35 minutes, right? We got at some point. I've got to do it by myself, and Brad's got to do it by himself. When's
Brad gonna be available that we're not?
Well, we'll just deliberately take the week off, all right?
Yeah, all right. Just go. Brad, it's your turn for a solo epi. All right, cool. To be fair, I think it allows it to be a bit more personal, but God, you've got to not brick it because it was hell. It was hell.
Could make it worse for him. Just pick a week where there's no content.
Like my one. There was no content that week. I hated it. It was between promos. It couldn't have been worse.
The
Q&A was half the vid.
It was. Content stuff was done within like 10 minutes.
Oh, it was so bad.
But, bye-bye, guys, and we'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.
Peace out, guys.